Live content accounts for almost a quarter of global viewing time. Live video generates 27% more minutes of watch time per viewing than on-demand video. Live streaming is a $70 billion industry. What does it all mean? Let's find out on the Why I Go Live podcast with Coach Kirk.
So good to have you back with us on the Why I Go Live podcast. This is your host, Kirk Nugent, and I'm so excited to be here with you. I want to say something to you that you probably heard me say multiple times before, but it doesn't get any less true every time I say it. Your live stream is your digital storefront, because there's no greater way to go from busy and broke to peaceful and paid than for your ideal customer to see you do your thing live. It's just something magical that happens while live. You cannot prepare for the questions when live, and there's just something in the interaction with the comments when live. Trust me, you want to plug into that atmosphere, to that energy, to that excitement. And on this particular podcast, we are going around the world, the web, to ask this one question: why do you go live? Let me share this with you. The global live streaming market is estimated to reach 247 billion with a B billion by 2027. Come on. You even if you just carve off a little piece of that would be worth it. Literally in a few years, it'll be worth almost $250 billion. Wow. What is all the rage about? Let's figure it out. I'm excited today to welcome our guest, speaker, video coach, business strategist, host of the live show Stream Like a Boss TV, Tanya Smith. How are you?
I am great. I am brilliantly blessed to be here with you, Kirk.
Man.
Because you're one of my favorite live streamers on earth. So
I love it.
You know it's good.
Man, I love that. I love the brilliantly blessed. I love that. I think I'm going to have to borrow that one when somebody asks, how are you? I'm brilliantly blessed. That's all right. The 2 B's as well. That's so good.
Yes.
Oh, man, we are so excited to have you with us today. I know we've had you on the show before, so you're not a stranger to the How It All Works audience. But, with the Why I Go Live podcast, we're kind of garnering a new audience, people who are curious, people who are not so sure about this live streaming thing. But here's a podcast that seems to be aimed at answering all my questions. So just take a moment and share a little bit about yourself, about Stream Like a Boss and Get Noticed with Video. And then talk about, we'll get into our main question for the day. But yeah, sure. Give us a little bit of the backstory.
So backstory is, first of all, I never, ever saw myself on camera. I'm very much an introvert.
Wow.
And so when I first started my business 17 years ago now, as a coach, my focus was on helping people to get promoted in their jobs. And so what I would do is I actually started out, it had nothing to do with video. So Get Noticed with Video is a name that I adopted later on and became an LLC.
Nice.
But it was Be Promotable. That was the name of my business.
See,
and so
I did not know this. This is why this question is so critical. Okay, I'm learning.
Be Promotable. And it's because I had a human resources background, Kirk, and that actually that background I've had for 32 years now in HR.
That's dope.
Yeah. And it was like, hey, let me help you get promoted in your job. But what was happening is because I was effectively using technology from an audio standpoint.
Right.
I was using things like Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
You remember?
Oh, I do.
Back?
I do remember Blog Talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Leslie had something on Blog Talk for a little bit.
Yeah. Look, did everybody who's been around for some time had Blog Talk Radio?
Real talk. You can find your origin back to Blog Talk. That's crazy. Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah. And it just, it opened up doors for me to be able to be seen because I actually did this summit called Women of Color Career Summit. And it was focused on helping particularly women of color around the world, because I had speakers from India and like all over the world,
wow.
US, who came in and did this telesummit with me. I still have the CDs because, we had CDs too.
So dope.
So I still have the CD kit. So we as a result of me doing this summit and me doing it by myself, solo, also working a full-time job and all these other things, I got calls constantly from business owners saying, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
And so I started sharing with them, hey, well, I'm doing this and I'm using this type of tech and I'm doing this and I have this microphone. And they just kept asking questions. And over time, I became known as someone who was helping businesses,
Right.
not just
Not just
employees.
employees. Got it. So
Mm-hmm.
you made that shift.
I did. But then eventually, what works for you yesterday doesn't always work for you today
That's
and
the
tomorrow.
whole word right there. Yeah. You got to be able to adapt.
You do.
In
And
this
I
marketplace,
kept,
for sure. Hey, Blog Talk Radio ain't even there no more. I mean,
it's
it's
not
not
even
even
there.
there. So you got to be able
It's,
to, kind of move with the times. Yeah, I love it.
and nobody can play these CDs anymore because who
Ooh,
has a CD player, right?
so true. So true. Now I do have one because I play some for my kids just for nostalgia's sake. But you're so
Yeah.
right. That is not a thing.
It's not a thing anymore. So a lot of the things the things that helped me to build a brand back then, I recognized that there was a shift and I started losing organic reach in my social profiles. And so I ended up having to make a decision. It was right around the time that my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And I was also just stretched and trying to make a decision. Do I want to continue to do this side business or do I just need to just fully, operate in my career zone and be employed and call it a day? Like, let me be normal is what I
Let me be
say.
normal. Oh my,
One job.
that's the entrepreneur's attention, right? They exist between these two worlds of, oh, I have this thing, but
Yeah.
I also could just be normal, right? And you're trying to balance that seesaw, but yeah, continue.
Yeah. And that creative seed, that was born just from doing what I was doing, with the telesummits,
Right.
it just wouldn't go away.
Right.
It just wouldn't. And people kept calling and asking. And I had to figure out a different way. I had to figure out a shift. And so the shift for me was, let me try this video thing. Let me see. Because at the time, all the social platforms were saying, you need to go live.
Yep.
You need to go live. And I was seeing people that I didn't know, wasn't following, wasn't connected to just because they were doing live streaming.
Wow.
So I made that shift. I decided, okay, I'm going to try it. And I didn't think that I was equipped for it. I wasn't equipped for it. If I look back now,
Well, we all have our
videos.
origins, right? We those first videos where you're like, oh, cringe.
Oh yeah.
But no, I
you
love
start somewhere.
I love what you're sharing already. And I hope that the audience is picking it up. I hope that as you're listening, whether you're in the car, whether you're in the shopping mall, whether you're, picking up some milk and eggs, I don't know where you could be. You could be on the treadmill with your AirPods in. But I hope that you're picking up some of the little nuggets that are already being placed for you. And she said one of the buzzwords that I like to say, introvert. And she's a live streamer, not just a live streamer. Now she's actually a video coach. So now you've kind of set the table for us. So let's ask our signature question. I almost want to have, I've got to figure out a drum roll for this. I've said this one or two episodes now, but Tanya Smith, why do you go live?
Today I go live because it brings me a sense of purpose and connection that I probably wouldn't get otherwise.
Wow.
Because I am a cave dweller, being the introvert that I am. I love being in my space.
Yeah.
I thrive in, the space that I've created for myself. I feel enthusiastic. I feel like it's mine. I feel that, passion for being in the space, but at the same time, I realize the power of connection and I've been able to build family.
Yeah.
And build community through live streaming without having to even leave my house.
It is such a blessing. My over Christmas, my younger cousins were asking me something, and they were like, "Oh well, you're not introverted because you live stream." I'm like, I know plenty of live streamers who are introverted, and they looked at me almost like, why do you have two heads? And I said, no, if you really think about it, it's just them and a camera.
Yeah.
It's not like they're in front of a million people, even though they may be in front of a million people in their home or in their home studio or wherever they're broadcasting from. It's them and the camera. And I think for introverts, they actually thrive in this kind of
Yes,
space.
it's
That's
true.
a whole unlock. That's a whole cheat code right there.
It's true. It's true. And it gives me the space to be creative in ways that I might not otherwise be creative and be, out there.
Right.
Because I used to do a lot of the, in-person networking events, and I would be the one that's kind of sitting over in the corner on a couch.
Yeah.
Because I did not feel that I didn't have the energy level to go out and try to just force myself into conversations. That's what it felt like for me. I wanted to go deeper into conversation, not wider.
Not wider.
Right.
So
And
fewer.
so,
I love it.
yeah. So I would be okay with meeting one or two people, whereas other people were like, oh, you need to meet at least 10 people for every event you go to. And that just, it didn't translate well for me. And so doing live streams, it is literally like I get to talk to one person at a time,
That's
but
right.
I'm impacting more than that one person. When I talk to the camera, I am talking to a single person.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
And that is there's a strategy there that that I teach in coaching as well. I know you do as well. When you're looking to create content, whether it's produced or live, you do want to have this profile of a person in mind, and you want to speak to that person's profile, essentially, right? Their needs, right? You talked about, of course, originally speaking specifically to women of color looking to get promoted, but then you shifted and now you're looking to speak to businesses, but you want to speak specifically to that person and their needs. That is the type of content that's actually very successful. So focusing on the one person, even though it may have broad application, others will hear what you have to say and they'll glean from it for themselves, the value that you're providing. But really focusing on that one person, that's such a cheat code for being successful in the video space. That's so
Absolutely.
good. That's so good. Yeah. I'm tempted to ask a follow up, but no. I mean, I think we've kind of laid the groundwork. This is what live streaming is. So now from a practical standpoint, right? We now have a little bit of your profile, a little bit of your background, and you shared with us, it's you and the camera in terms of what refills you. So not necessarily the large crowds and things like that. I know some of the audience is resonating now because they generally feel like a live, content creators, streamers, they are refilled by being in large crowds, and that's not necessarily true. In fact, I have a good friend of mine who does so well on camera, and I asked him to speak in person, and me and him joke about this, so I'm not throwing him on the bus, but he bombed. I mean, I just want to say that, right? He just bombed. So he's phenomenal in front of the camera, but in person, in a small group, it was just a workshop, but maybe 20 people. Oh, it was rough. And so talk to us about some of the things that have happened because of your live presence, your live videos, and what you do while live. What are some of the fringe benefits, some of the things that you can directly draw a line to and say, this happened because I went live or because I have a live presence online?
You talked about speaking, even though it was a smaller group for him, speaking was one of the things that came out of me doing regular live streaming.
Oh, wow.
Not just once every now and then, but because I was so consistent, because I committed to saying, I'm going to do a live stream every week for a year and see what happens. That was my commitment when I started.
That's it.
And when I had that consistency, there were people that were watching that I didn't realize were watching. And so I started getting requests to come and actually speak on in-person stages, which honestly, even as an introvert, I have no problem speaking in front of large crowds.
Come on.
As a matter of fact, that is, it's draining. Like when I'm done,
Right.
I'm really done.
Really
like
done.
I'm ready to go. But I love being able to speak about what I know. And the gift, I think, of live streaming is that I can do the same thing on an in-person stage and share the message and share what I know and spread the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with live, it can cross so many different
That's it.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no geographic
Nothing.
limits.
Nothing.
You don't have to be in the physical room. So all of that to me, for me, it's all in one.
Yeah.
I love speaking from virtual and in-person stages. I have no problem doing that at all. But that is one thing that came out of me doing live, is that I became more confident
That
and more, yeah, I showed up
boom.
better on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
Right?
You flex a muscle that you
Yes,
otherwise would have to have multiple speaking engagements in order to work out, right?
that's right.
Yeah, that's wow. I never thought about
That's
that.
right. I bombed at Toastmasters, let me tell you.
Oh, really?
So,
Really? I
yeah,
love
because when
Toastmasters.
for my job,
Mhm.
I had to do Toastmasters. I had to do. I didn't get to do.
There's
I
a
had
big
to do.
distinction. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. It was a requirement for the job, and I hated it. I was horrible at it. I
Mm.
did the ums and the
Oz,
ahs,
yeah, yeah.
and I just kind of shuffled and just really didn't care. But when I branched out on my own
Mm.
and I was speaking from a stage, it just flowed because it was something that I really wanted to
Yeah,
do. It was something I wanted to talk
yeah,
about.
yeah.
And so, yeah, you're right. The muscle, and I always talk about the competence really builds that confidence muscle when it comes
Mm.
to being on camera. And for
Yes.
me, that's exactly what it did. So, between that and actually being able to build an entire business on live streaming,
Right.
like you and I are in similar fields.
Very,
For
very.
me, it was about focusing on content strategy. So I got real clarity around, how do I create a live stream content strategy that will be the core of all your other marketing? And so that has become a really big thing for me,
Mm.
something where I'm able to teach the people that are in my space about systems and workflows and automation and using AI and other tools to really just make this thing fly.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
See,
It's been a
and
ride.
there's what you're tapping into now, for the listener out there who is on the fence, and I'm going to ask you to say something here in just a second, Tanya. But for the listener who's on the fence, what you're hearing her say is there is some structure that you can put around it. Um, are we saying that you need all of that in order to go live for the first time? Absolutely not. But what we're saying is, as you begin to define what that end goal is,
Yeah.
you can now start to determine, okay, here is what the infrastructure I'll need to put in place in order to
Yes.
arrive at that end goal consistently, right? So Tanya, do this for me. Do this for me. You just said it. I actually was going to I was going to say it as well. We are very much in similar spaces in terms of video coaching, live stream enthusiasts. We believe that
Yes.
live streaming can get you noticed with video, right? I love the tagline for your business. Um, but there's, speak to the person out there. This is something that I normally do on the Why I Go Live podcast. Somebody out there who they've listened, maybe they have been listening. This is episode, I think, 12 now of the Why I Go Live podcast. And maybe they have been listening. They're kind of on the fence. They're starting to kind of see a full picture. We've had a number of people on, several different guests from varying backgrounds and different profiles, right? And
Yeah.
strengths and weaknesses. So speak to that person right now as you would a client. What would you say to them to get them across the line and give live streaming a try?
Oh goodness. To me, it is risk free.
Mm,
And the reason why I believe that truly from the bottom of my soul is because, again, I was that person saying, I'm not getting on camera. I'm not going to, I don't want to be judged.
mm,
I don't feel like I'm confident enough. I don't want people to say negative things about me. All of those things came up, but here's the thing. That's going to come up no matter what you do. The end game is that being able to push through that and to still be live and on camera gave me this new level of courage that the people around me, including my two daughters, were able to see. And
wow.
because they saw me showing up on camera, they became more confident. They said, oh, mom is over a certain age and she's doing something new and she's putting herself out there,
Nice.
right?
Right.
And there was critique, Kirk.
Yeah.
There was critique. There was a person that came on, and this was around the time when I started, and my head was shaved. I had my hair shaved completely, not to the skin, but
It was okay.
pretty,
Yeah.
it was gone. And it was because I was so stressed out and tense. And my husband had been going through so much with chemo and traveling back and forth to Asia and coming home and sick. And I had some of the after effects. You know how they say
Yes.
the husband and wife, spouse? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was feeling that too and stressed.
Caregivers.
And this
Yeah.
woman came on my feed while I was live with this short haircut. And she said, if I were to look up the definition of unprofessional, your face and your hair would be next to it.
Wow.
And it threw me off, but I tried to play it off while I'm sitting there on camera.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ended up, honestly, Kirk, I didn't think it impacted me as much as it did until I started. I'm going to admit this and just say this, and you can see this in my videos on my channel if you go back far enough. I started wearing wigs.
No way.
I started wearing wigs. And it was probably about a month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months before I realized, wait a minute, I just took on her baggage. That was her issue. That's not my issue. So what I'm saying is when I made that decision, right, to let her baggage go and to be myself in all my glory,
That's it.
whatever that looked like.
That's it.
Because people needed, I knew here that people needed to hear what I had to say, that I had a message to share, regardless of what her issues were. I couldn't take that on and carry it for her. When I let her baggage go and I got back on, I was stronger than ever. So what I'm saying is that there are lessons that you can learn from live streaming that are lessons in life and courage. Right? That will carry you, and they don't just impact you. They influence those lessons that you're learning and taking with you as you go live and you make these mistakes and you correct things and you hear people who give you positive and negative feedback.
Yeah.
You get a thicker skin. You become bolder. You become the person you truly are intended to be. And it's much more powerful presentation. And I feel that live truly has done that for me. And it can do it for you.
Listen, I hope that you guys heard that. We're not gonna add anything else to it. We're gonna land right there. I love to share this one little detail. Somebody said to me recently, "Your podcast is a Why I Go Live podcast. Like, why? I don't get it. Why I Go Live? Why I don't get it. Why I Go Live?" I'm like, actually, it's pronounced live. Like live streaming. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were trying to get people to go and live, authentic life and stuff like that." And I was like, actually, that's a really good play on the word, because live streaming, if you listen to what Tanya was just sharing there and that entire story, that powerful experience that she just shared with us, live streaming is life streaming. And you will not know how your life will be impacted until you give it a try. But Tanya, take a second and just share with folks what you have coming up, how they can find you, follow you. Of course, we're going to have some things in the show notes, but just share with people if you have a special project, maybe even a special offer, something that you got coming up that our audience would be interested in. Maybe you might even help them to get off the couch and actually give this live streaming thing a try.
Look, I go live every week on Stream Like a Boss TV. So if you go to streamlikeaboss.tv, there's information about my schedule, workshops, all kinds of things that we have going on. GetNoticedWithVideo.com is my main website, and that's my LLC. So I basically deliver group coaching, individual coaching. And one of the things that is my heart right now is called Stream Bosses Academy. So in Stream Bosses Academy, where we spend the bulk of our time each month, we have a couple of different events, but what's become really interesting is we have a co-working day that we offer twice a month. And on these calls, they have become calls where we are resource sharing, where we are committed to getting certain types of video content done, but we're also just creating and building a supportive community to help get each other through these challenges of going live, but not just going live, creating a true content marketing strategy that's going to allow us to build revenue, right?
Yeah.
Bring in income, a sustainable income. So it's been fun. It's been great for coaches, for course creators, for video creators who are
Right.
looking to put more structure in place. But that's my happy place. So streamlikeaboss.tv has all my socials. Get Noticed with Video is my main website, but both of those would be great resources.
Excellent. Thank you for taking some time out of your day today to come hang out with us here on the Why I Go Live podcast. Family,
Yeah.
we can't thank you enough for hanging in with us. You've listened all the way through. We hope that you'll take the plunge. Truthfully speaking, no two people's live experience will be the same. It just won't.
Right.
Just as unique as your fingerprint is, will be your experience in this content creation live streaming space. What is your why? What would be the thing that live streaming might help you take to the next level? As we say in our sub tagline for the Why I Go Live podcast, maybe live streaming is the missing ingredient for your success. And we hope that you'll give it a try. And there'll be several resources, as she has shared, right here in the description and the show notes for the podcast. We can't thank you enough for your time and attention. We will see you, family, around these internet streets or in the next video. Be blessed.
Why I Go Live, hosted by Coach Kirk, is a composition production. Real streamers, honest stories, and incredible impact. Add your voice to the conversation. Go to kirkrnugent.live/member to join the community. And let's figure out how it all works.